man, Coach has already had Coach's Corner, but this is a brand new one, and we already seen the official poll that's out there for the people to see online, but they haven't seen Coach Tripp's top 10.
Yes,
All right, here we go. And I'm anxious to get y'all's feedback with it. We'll start with the number 10 spot, team that actually finished number 10 in the polls at the end of last year. I have the Gonzaga Bulldogs at number 10.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Really?
Fantastic head coach, fantastic program there. Number 10 is Gonzaga. Number 9, I mentioned them earlier as my biggest surprise from last year, coming off of a 19 and 15 year before. Number 9, I have Florida Atlantic, the Owls. They finished last year at number 5 after that run in the tournament. Okay. Number 9 is FAU. Number 8, this is a team that finished 12 at the end of last year. This is Creighton. I have Creighton sitting at number 12. Number 7, I got Marquette. They finished 14 at the end of last year, but I've got them sitting pretty at number 7. Number 6, we talked about them earlier as the reigning champs. I have UConn Huskies, finished number 1 last year. I have them sitting at number 6.
Okay.
So now we get into the top 5, the big dogs here. Number 5.
So far, I think that's the only one that's matched up with the top 25 list and the top 10. Everything's been – there's one team that you don't have in this top 10. I'll let you finish before we get to it, but we'll see which one that ends up being, I guess.
All right. Sounds good. Number 5, I have Houston Cougars. They finished last year, number 6. Number 4, I don't know why I always do this to myself. I love their head coach. I always pick them to go farther than sometimes they do. But I've got Michigan State, Tom Izzo, Sparty. I can't bring myself to root against them. Number 3, this is I think a lot of people have them ranked pretty high. They finished 13th last year, but they're one I struggle with because they always seem to have such talent and underachieve. That's the Purdue Boilermakers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
seem to struggle in big games.
One of the biggest disappointments for sure last year. Too.
Number 2, this hurts my heart as a Carolina fan. Drew, you'll be happy. I've got the Duke Blue Devils after finishing number 18. And then number 1, I don't think there's much argument. Kansas Jayhawks, last year's number 11.
Yeah, all the talent they had. I mean, there's no doubt.
So, Coach, you gave Tennessee the boot out of the top 10 of what ESPN's got. What don't you like about the Tennessee Vols?
Man, it's tough when you start making a top 10 list. It's similar like if you look at college football in the playoffs. You've got so many teams that are so talented, and it's just I don't have anything against Tennessee Volunteers, right. so don't at me with any hate, but
he's not a Rick Barnes fan. No, I'm joking.
Texas guy. Yeah, he's done a fantastic job.
I'll ask it better for you then. What do you like more about the Zags than you like about Tennessee? Because even your Zags that you got inside the top 10, no Drew Timme this year, even though he's been there like 50 bajillion years. He's finally gone. And you still got him inside the top 10. You like him better than the Vols. Why is that?
I do. Now, look, and I was surprised last year when I did some research because I'm going to qualify what I'm going to say. Rick Barnes has a tremendous record of wins and losses. I was kind of shocked. But coming down to it, I'm a Mark Few guy. I think he's just everything else being equal. I think he's a cut above most of the coaches out there with his ability to be innovative, to get the most out of his players. And look, I'm not saying Barnes can't because obviously all those wins and losses, but if I had team of similar players and the only difference was Barnes or Few, I'm going with Few. So this is not meant to be a knock against Tennessee. It's more of a nod towards Gonzaga and Coach Few.
And I think Ryan Nembhard is on that team. If I'm not mistaken, he's one of the big transfer additions that they got. Yeah.
So anyway, I'd love to hear, aside from Tennessee, anything glaring that you vehemently disagree with or agree with.
I definitely agree with the statement about Purdue. I mean, you're just you're going right out of everybody else's mouths to say the same exact thing, because everybody's been saying it for years, because they continue to prove it year in and year out that they can't step up in the big games and do stuff when it's big time tournament time. And Purdue, I mean, yes, we're gonna have them with a nice ranking right now. Yes, they're gonna have a good season. They'll be a nice team. They will trick us and be like, man, this team could win a championship. Okay, maybe they're maybe there's one of those teams. And then they're going to lose some weird game or something like that. And then they're going to get into the tournament and have a very close first round or something like that and be like, here we are again. Wow.
I know. And then
you're a 1 seed. It's a 16. Why are we doing this?
Yes. And then I'm going to, like I do every year when I pick them, I'm going to be like, why do I do this to myself? I know better. I tell myself every year, not again. And here I am doing it again.
Like anything beyond a Sweet 16 trip, what are you doing? I mean, that's just I don't know why you're being so nice to these guys. Even a Sweet 16 be far too generous.
As good as Edie is, I don't know if you feel this way, Coach. Does it change the way they are? Are they just maybe they got a great player, but they're not a great team because of how good he is? Is that something that if you can kind of limit or just kind of say, okay, he's going to get his, but if we can take away the rest of the squad, they're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a great point, because you'll try to limit him as best you can, but know he's going to get his. But if you can make him not the first option, but kind of the only option, and a lot of times, sometimes when you take those other guys out of the game a little bit, through ball denial, whatever, they'll kind of sit around and watch, and then it becomes kind of almost a 5-on-1, when they're in the half court. So I think that's a tremendous point. And hopefully they're breaking down film, watching and figuring some of this stuff out, because they've got so much talent, and it's just always a woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Got a couple of specific questions here for you, Trip. Of the teams outside your top 10 right now, after the first week of games, or from now until you come back on with us within the next near month, what team would you expect to enter your top 10?
Oh, okay. Let me look at my list here.
I'll toss you some nice names, see if they pique your interest.
Okay.
Arkansas.
Ooh, okay. Texas. Okay.
North Carolina.
I'd love to say yes, but I'm going to say no.
St. Mary's.
Potentially. Miami, potentially.
Or Villanova.
Oh.
Arizona, maybe?
Yeah. If I'm going with those, I might go Arkansas, to get back in there. I saw you trying to bait me with that North Carolina, but I'm not falling for that one. I already fell for Purdue. I'm not going to fall for Purdue.
Well, you can fall yourself right back to the NIT. Doggone it. Get back over there. Get over there.
Oh, man.
The other thing I was going to ask, Coach, and you may not have an answer for this because it's kind of a rare situation, but I want to just ask it just in case some team comes to mind that you know of. What team do you know of, possibly in this year's rendition of college basketball, could be passed, that has, and let me create the scenario for you, a mostly new team? I want to say 90% of a new team. Let's talk Deion Sanders, Colorado type. Yeah. We got a whole new team of transfers up in here, and we also have a new coach, but this coach is a winner coming in, not like championship winner, but good regular season winner, proved that he could possibly win in the postseason, and only got a couple of returning guys from the program.
Okay, well, the one that comes to mind, and this is way back, probably before y'all's time, and I don't even know if the coach was new at the time, but the one that pops to mind, and it was new not as transfers, in fact they didn't even have transfer, but was Michigan, the Fab Five.
Mm-hmm.
They brought in those 5 phenomenal freshmen, and they basically they started from day one. But as far as current iteration, I would have to. I don't have an answer, but I will search it up and maybe throw something out on Twitter.
Once, yeah. Formally. You could also make the argument now. I mean, we've been in the one and done, if you want to call it that, era for over a decade now. That was kind of started with Coach Cal
Oh yeah,
before he got to Kentucky. But I think back to that group he brought in that included Anthony Davis, and they went on and won the title. So that's kind of where my thought was, at least. And I didn't know if you had agreed with that, but I did.
Yes, that was big, and before that, not as many. But like when Carmelo Anthony won at Syracuse as a freshman, and he, but yeah, the Calipari, he really kind of made a living on that with the one and dones, and made no apologies about it, saying this is how we're going to do it, and I mean it worked as far as getting some wins and getting talent and turn them over. And the good news, the good side of the strategy is, you're not going to have somebody turn you down thinking that they're going to have to wait and sit, because they know the guy in front of them is going to be gone, and they're only playing a year. But it's tough to build, obviously, any kind of continuity or build, a long-term, you run out of guys. You don't have a deep bench or a deep system that you can
how do you even maintain a culture like that? Because it's almost just like the quickest farm system possible. You ship a kid in, you run him for a year or two, and you boost him on out.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, you're just you're grinding them all year long, with kind of how Coach K does it to get them in for his one and done guys to push them on out for a year. Like, how does a culture even stay afloat for years on?
And
years?
is that part of the reason why you see the veteran teams that have been there 3 or 4 years with all the same guys? They pull off these first round upsets that you wouldn't expect because of the experience coming back.
Well, so two things. So to answer Drew's question about the culture, really what it is, I think, I mean, obviously I'm not there, but the culture is sort of, think back to Al Davis from the Raiders, just win, baby. So there isn't a culture. The culture is get in here, win, you go get your money and get out of here so I can open up this roster spot. So, and then I think going to BJ's point, I think, yes, that is why I think these teams that sometimes have continuity, have stability, these players have played with each other. They know in tight situations where they need to be, but also where their teammates are going to be, where the ball is going to be. I think that is sometimes where you see maybe, I don't want to say lesser talent as a negative, but maybe less explosive. You got 5 guys that aren't as talented as the other 5, but they play as a team. They know the system, and they can sometimes out execute you rather than out athlete you.